Good morning, readers and listeners. It's Miss Beth and Winston again. It's another rainy day, but what makes it better than reading The Tale of Despereaux? So we are going to finish up book 1 today. The book is divided up into separate books within a book. So we're finishing up the book 1 and we are going into book 2 this morning, and we're going to get to meet this morning the rats. So if you have your book, follow along. If you don't, make that movie in your brain while I'm reading. Think about the characters. Think about how Despereaux's feeling now that he's in the dungeon. What must he be thinking about? What must he be worried about? Do you think he's missing Princess P? I think so. Let's read and find out what happens to him. Chapter 15, Light. When Despereaux awoke, he was cupped in the large, calloused hand of a human, and he was staring into the fire of one match, and beyond the match there was a large dark eye looking directly at him. "A mouse with a red thread," boomed the voice. "Oh yes, Gregory knows the way of mice and rats. Gregory knows. And Gregory has his own thread marking him. See here, mouse?" And the match was held to a candle. The candle sputtered to life, and Despereaux saw that there was a rope tied around the man's ankle. "Here is the difference between us. Gregory's rope saves him, and your thread will be the death of you." The man blew the candle out, and the darkness descended, and the man's hand closed more tightly around Despereaux, and Despereaux felt his beleaguered heart start a crazy rhythm of fear. "Who are you?" he whispered. "The answer to that question, mouse, is Gregory. You are talking to Gregory, the jailer, who has been buried here, keeping watch over this dungeon for decades, for centuries, for eons, for eternities. You are talking to Gregory, the jailer, who in the richest of ironies is nothing but a prisoner here himself." "Oh," said Despereaux. May I get down, Gregory?" "The mouse wants to know if Gregory, the jailer, will let him go. Listen to Gregory, mouse. You do not want to be let go. Here in this dungeon, you are in a treacherous, dark heart of the world. And if Gregory was to release you, the twistings and turnings and dead ends and false doorways of this place would swallow you for eternity. Only Gregory and the rats can find their way through this maze. The rats because they know, because the way of it mirrors their own dark hearts. And Gregory because the rope is forever tied to his ankle to guide him back to the beginning. Gregory would let you go, but you would only beg him to take you up again. The rats are coming for you, you see." "They are?" "Listen," said Gregory. You can hear their tails dragging through the muck and the filth. You can hear them filing their nails and their teeth. They are coming for you. They are coming to take you apart, piece by piece. Despereaux listened, and he was quite certain that he heard the nails and the teeth of the rats, and the sound of the sharp things being made sharper still. They will strip all the fur from your flesh, and all the flesh from your bones, and when they are done with you, there will be nothing left except red thread. Red thread and bones. Gregory has seen it many times. The tragic end of a mouse. But I need to live, said Despereaux. I can't die. You cannot die? Ha! That is lovely. He says he cannot die. Gregory closed his hand more tightly around Despereaux. And why would that be, Mouse? Why is it that you cannot die? Well, because I'm in love. I love somebody, and it is my duty to serve her. Love, said Gregory. Love. Hark you. I will show you the twisted results of love. Another match was struck, and the candle was lit again, and Gregory held it up so that the flame illuminated a massive, towering, teetering pile of spoons and kettles and soup bowls. Look on that, Mouse, said Gregory. That is a monument to foolishness of love. What is it? Asked Despereaux. He stared at the great tower that reached up and up and up into the blackness. What it looks like. Spoons, bowls, kettles, all of them gathered here as hard evidence of the pain of loving a living thing. The king loved the queen, and the queen died. This monstrosity, this junk heap, is the result of love. I don't understand, said Despereaux. And you will not understand until you lose what you love. But enough about love, said Gregory, and he blew out the candle. We will talk instead about your life, and how Gregory will save it if you so desire. Why would you save me? Despereaux asked. Have you saved any other mice? Never. Not one. Why would you save me then? Because you, Mouse, can tell Gregory a story. Stories are light. Light is precious in a world so dark. Begin at the beginning. Tell Gregory a story. Make some light. And because Despereaux wanted very much to live, he said, once upon a time. Yes, said Gregory happily. He raised his hand higher and then higher until Despereaux's whiskers brushed against his leathery, time-worn ear. Go on, Mouse, said Gregory. Tell Gregory a story. And they've actually included a picture of Gregory being told this story by Despereaux. It was in this way that Despereaux became the only mouse sent to the dungeon whom the rats did not reduce to a pile of bones and a piece of red thread. It was in this way that Despereaux was saved. Reader, if you don't mind, that is where we'll leave our small mouse for now. In the dark of the dungeon, in the hand of the old jailer, telling a story to save himself. It is time for us to turn our attention elsewhere. Time for us, reader, to speak to the rats, and of one rat in particular. The end of the first book. And the second book is called Despereaux. As our story continues, chapter 16 is called Blinded by the Light. As our story continues, reader, we must go back in time to the birth of a rat named Despereaux. And Despereaux, a rat born into the filth and darkness of the dungeon, several years before the mouse Despereaux was born upstairs in the light. Reader, do you know the definition of the word Despereaux? If you look in your dictionary, or if you Google it like I did, you will find that it means the arrangement of light and dark. Darkness and light together. Rats do not care for light. Despereaux's parents were having a bit of fun when they named their son. Rats have a sense of humor. Rats, in fact, think that life is very funny. And they are right, reader. They are right. In the case of Despereaux, however, the joke had a hint of prophecy in it. It happened that when Despereaux was a very young rat, he came upon a great length of rope on the dungeon floor. "Ha! What do we have here?" said Despereaux. Being a rat, he immediately began to nibble on the rope. "Stop that!" boomed a voice, and a great hand came out of the darkness and picked the rat up by his tail and held him suspended upside down. "Were you nibbling on Gregory's rope, rat?" "Who wants to know?" said Despereaux, for even upside down he was still a rat. "You smart-alecky rat! You smart-alecky rat, nibbling on Gregory's rope. Gregory will teach you not to mess with his rope." And keeping Despereaux upside down, Gregory lit a match with the nail of his thumb and held the brilliant flame right in Despereaux's face. "Ah," said Despereaux. He pulled his head back, away from the light, but alas, he did not close his eyes, and the flame exploded around him and danced inside him. "Has no one told you the rules?" said Gregory. "What rules?" said the rat. "Gregory's rope, rat, is off limits." "So?" "Apologize for chewing on Gregory's rope." "I will not," Despereaux said. "Apologize." "No." "Filthy rat," said Gregory. "You black-souled thing. Gregory has had it with you rats." And he held He held the match closer to Despereaux's face, and a terrible smell of burning whiskers rose up around the jailer and the rat. And then the match went out, and Gregory released Despereaux's tail and flung him back into the darkness. "Do not ever touch Gregory's rope again, or you will be sorry." Despereaux sat on the dungeon floor. The whiskers on the left side of his face were gone. His heart was beating hard, and though the light from the match had disappeared, It danced still before the rat's eyes, even when he closed them. Light, he said aloud, and then he whispered the word again. Light. From that moment forward, Despereaux showed an abnormal, inordinate interest in illumination of all sorts. He was always in the darkness of the dungeon on the lookout for light, the smallest glimmer, the tiniest shimmer. His rat soul longed inexplicably for it. He began to think that light was the only thing that gave life meaning, and he despaired that there was so little of it to be had. He finally voiced this sentiment to his friend, a very old one-eared rat named Botticelli Rimorso. I think, said Despereaux, that the meaning of life is light. Light? Botticelli. Ha 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 ha, you kill me. Light has nothing to do with it. What does it all mean then? Said Despereaux. The meaning of life, said Botticelli, is suffering. Specifically the suffering of others. Prisoners, for example. For instance, reducing a prisoner to weeping and wailing and begging is a delightful way to invest your existence with meaning. As he spoke, Botticelli swung from the one extraordinarily long nail of his right front paw a heart-shaped locket. He had taken the locket from a prisoner and hung it on a thin braid of rope. Whenever Botticelli spoke, the locket moved. Back and forth it swung. Are you listening? Botticelli said to Despereaux. I am listening. Good, said Botticelli. Do as I say, and your life will be full of meaning. This is how to torture a prisoner. First, you must convince him that you are a friend. Listen to him. Encourage him to confess his sins. And when the time is right, talk to him. Tell him what he wants to hear. Tell him, for instance, that you will forgive him. This is a wonderful joke to play on a prisoner, to promise forgiveness. Why? Said Despereaux, and his eyes went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, following the locket. Because, said Botticelli, you will promise it, but you will not grant it. You gain his trust, and then you deny him. You refuse to offer the very thing he wants: forgiveness, freedom, friendship, whatever it is that his heart most desires, you withhold. At this point in his lecture, Botticelli laughed so hard that he had to sit down and catch his breath. The locket swayed slowly back and forth and then stopped altogether. Ha 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 ha! Oh, you gain his trust. You refuse him, and you become what he knew you were all along. What you knew you were all along. Not a friend, not a confessor, not a forgiver, but a rat. Botticelli wiped his eyes and shook his head and sighed a sigh of great contentment. He let the locket in motion again. At that point, it is the most effective to run back and forth over the prisoner's feet, inducing physical terror along with the emotional sort. Oh, he said, it is such a lovely game. Such a lovely game. It is such a absolutely chock full of meaning. I would like very much to torture a prisoner, said Despereaux. I would like to make someone suffer. Your time will come, said Botticelli. Currently, all the prisoners are spoken for, but another prisoner will arrive sooner or later. How do I know this to be true? Because, Roscuro, thankfully, there is evil in the world, and the presence of evil guarantees the existence of prisoners. So soon? There will be a prisoner for me? Yes, said Botticelli remorso. Yes. Oh, I'm looking forward to it. Of course you are looking forward to it. You are looking forward to it because you are a rat. A real rat. Yes, said Roscuro. I'm a real rat. Concerned not at all with the light, said Botticelli. Concerned not at all with the light, repeated Roscuro. Botticelli laughed again and shook his head. The locket, suspended from the long nail on his paw, swung back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You, my young friend, are a rat. Exactly. Yes. Evil. Prisoners. Rats. Suffering. It all fits together so neatly, so sweetly. Oh, it is a lovely world. A lovely, dark world. Come back tomorrow and we'll find out if Roscuro gets a prisoner. Have a good day. I hope you read some books on your own today.